authentic minds. This show encourages each of us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Get ready to be inspired and join us on this journey to create a brighter future for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change with Gigi. And today's show is going to be such a special show. We have such a special guest who is no stranger to our shows. Ahmed, welcome. And
Thank you.
Today is a show to celebrate you for all the work and the service that you have done on E13 TV and on my shows. You have brought so much wisdom to everyone, and this show is really dedicated to you for how much gratitude we have that you have just shared your knowledge and your understanding to really help people live a better life. And so, this show is about moving on to the next chapter on our life, right? We can't stay the same. We all grow. We're all seeking to learn more, be more, have more, do more. And this is the transition period for you and for me. And we're moving on to bigger and greater things so that we can expand our experiences here on this world, right? On this earth. So tell us what's happening to you. Where are you going? Give us all the details. We all want to know.
First of all, I want to express how grateful I am to have always been with you, and I want to dedicate this show to you. Because
now we're even.
have it not been for you reaching out to me, inviting me to be a co-host with you on Sparking Change for Harmonious Living, I would have never managed to expand exponentially the way I have done. And I credit a lot of it to you. So a humble and sincere thank you.
Likewise.
Well,
so where are you going? Tell us the secrets. What's going on? Where are you going?
Well, recently I've been always wanting to do something bigger. Like I've for the past few months, like I was always seeing myself on a bigger picture or a screen or something. Couldn't really tell what was going on, but the desire was very strong. And at times it just didn't make any sense for me. And a couple of months passed, and I get a call from a producer who's a director as well. And he said he has a project for a small movie, if I would like to participate in it. And without any reluctance, I just said, okay. And I didn't know what I was doing at that time. So a day before that, like the day before the training, he sent, like a couple of days later, he sent me a notice that he said, tomorrow we'll start the training. I said, okay. So it was at a gym. I arrived there 2 hours early out of being anxious because I was excited, but I was also a bit scared of, okay, what's going on here? Am I really up for this? What did I get myself into? So I had all this inner narrative, which I like to call my paradigm talking to me.
We all do when we step into something different, right?
We all do, because change is not comfortable. Your paradigm does not like change. It likes the habit that you have to be there. It will do whatever it takes. It will talk to you. Like Bob said, it's like a demon inside. Do this, don't do this. Don't go here, go here. So the thing is, when our paradigm talks to us in general, we think that we are actually doing the thinking, but it's not. It's your conditioning convincing you. There's this cyber cybernetic mechanism that's inside that has
Yes.
been
You got
set
it. You got
to
it.
a certain degree. And if
Yes.
you try to steer away from that, whatever thermostat has been set, which I like to call is your mindset. And the mindset consists of two things, which is your beliefs and habits. So I had too much noise going on within my mind, and I said, okay, I'm gonna sit down, relax. I'll meditate for half an hour, do some breath work. Things got clear because when you meditate, you start to go inside. And as you go inside, you start to detach from your five senses. So you're no longer relying on your external environment and whatever suggestions mentally you're receiving
Right.
from from externally. You're more focused and in tune and in harmony within you. Now, that gave me
Yes.
a slight advantage to quiet my mind and heart, where I could listen to my thoughts and to understand where they're coming from. And as I understood where it was coming from, I made a decision right there and then. And I said, forget about logic.
That's what Bob says too.
Yeah, forget about logic. And Bob said it in a tremendous way. He said, relying on your five senses is a dumb idea. So I took that into heart, and I said, you know what? Just go and have fun. What do you got to lose? Now, Bob always said, he said, you have to take some calculated risks in your life.
Yes.
And he said, what's the worst that could happen? If it doesn't work out, you'll just go back to where you were. But to miss an opportunity that can change you, that's something else.
You'll always regret it, right? If you don't take that chance, you'll look back and you're like, that should have been me. Just, you look back, how many people go, I should have done that. I was able to do that. I could have done that. And you didn't take that chance because you let the outside noise, like you said, you had to shut the outside noise down. And you also had to shut down like the monkey voice that is trying to keep you safe, as they say, and stay in your comfort zone. So you had to break through that barrier, which Bob says he calls it a terror barrier. You had to break through the terror barrier and say, whatever it is, at the end of the day, what could be the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah,
I'm
and
back to where I started, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
the
beautiful.
thing is, you will never find out what comes next if you don't give it a try.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and I was a very much of an introvert type of a person most of my life growing up. Entered into the coaching business, and I was still okay as long as it was in a closed group. But then when we started the show,
Yeah.
many times we went on air. I'll be honest, my heart used to palpitate initially because I
Yes.
knew the show was live. So you've facilitated a stage for me to grow in. I was just a
Likewise.
little seedling when I started with you, but I get to feel now that the repetition that you and I have conducted every week, serving others, putting out all great energy out there, something great must come in return.
Absolutely. And I was growing along with you. You got to know that, right? You think I was taking you up, but you were taking me up too, because, we're both, elevating and transitioning to something more for our next level of growth, right? I'm not going to say better. Yes, it is better. It seems better to us, but in fact, it's helping us gain more experiences, right? Because your next level, you're getting into something you never got into before. You don't even know what it is. You don't even know how far this is going to take you, but you took that first step. And this is what it all begins. When I invited you on a show, I invited you, I believe, right here on this show as a guest,
Yes.
right?
We started right
And
here.
we started right here, and we're ending right here. How funny is that? But we started right here, and then we took it to the next step, and we did a separate show, knowing that there was a greater purpose for you and I.
Yes.
And now here we are again. We put the time in, we served, and now we're ready for what I call God's next assignments, because we have no idea where we're going, but we're going, right? And this is such a good way to know that we're serving, and we're ready for the next way of serving, because it's only going to get bigger and better. So I don't know. Are you ready to show? Are you ready to show your surprise? Or do you want to say more about it?
Let's discuss a little bit for now. And
Yeah.
and see, as Bob said it nicely. He said, I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but
Right.
I know where I wanna go. Now, something we shared in common uh, when we were doing our weekly shows is that we have always maintained something called expectation.
Yes.
Now, we know that law of attraction, as Bob explained, he said, law of attraction is a secondary law, and the primary law is a law of vibration. And you can only attract things to you that are vibrating in harmony with you. Now, in Raymond Hollywell's book, Working with the Law, he described there is 2 phases to put the law of attraction in use. One of them is, the first one is desire.
Absolutely.
So when your thoughts become a strong enough desire, it hooks you onto the frequency of the thing that you want. But as I mentioned a bit earlier, expectation is what you and I have maintained. He said expectation reels it in. Now, Heraclitus wrote something beautifully, and that goes all the way back to 500 BC. He said, if you do not expect it, you will not find the unexpected. He said, for it is hard to find and difficult. This is why how it's going to happen is none of our concern. Just expect it.
Just expect it. And so expectancy, I would say, goes right along with believing, right?
Yes.
Believing that you're meant for whatever it is that you want, except there's that level of belief that your mind and your body and your soul needs to know that no matter what, it is something that you can have.
Yes.
With no doubts.
Yes.
So expectancy and expected, that means regardless of what the conditions on the outside that you're looking, you're using your 5 senses and you see, you can say, I still deserve to have it. I still am going to receive it.
Absolutely.
And those two, right? Those 2 little words, I am, are so powerful.
Yes.
That's part of expecting, whether it's good health, whether it's a new home, a new job, whatever it is that may be.
Bob always taught us, he said, everything is energy. He said, you're made up of energy. Money's energy. Every little thing that you see around you is made up of the same stuff.
Well, he got that from Albert Einstein. Let's,
Yeah.
the truth, right? Even Albert Einstein said it many, many moons ago, right?
Yes. And Bob also said, he said, when you make a committed decision that's irrevocable, You cannot go back. You then begin thinking on this higher frequency, and you think and act like the person you want to become. So, any idea you entertain the longest becomes the strongest. So, you're maintaining a single idea over and over again, consecutive thought. It will trigger your emotions to align with it in the same way. Now, two things are going to happen post this point. Your behavior is going to change because your thoughts, feelings, and actions transforms into something we call attitude. And your environment is going to reflect whatever attitude you are in at that very moment. It
So
has
let's
to
use-
match.
Beautiful. And so let's use a real life example, which is the most easiest one that people can relate to. You're thinking about vacation. You're going to Hawaii, right? You're getting excited. You're booking the hotel. You're booking the airline. You're going out every day, probably shopping for an outfit for the beach, right? To go have some fun. And then you're probably going to end up buying a new suitcase so you can fit all these nice clothes in. And then you're getting so excited, just thinking about where, you're going to look it up and see where you're going to go eat, what excursions you're going to do. And then by the time you know it, you're there.
Yeah.
So this formula works for everything that we may want in our lives and everything that we may desire. It does not just work for vacation. It works for that job you want, that house you want. So we need to get into alignment with our thoughts, feelings, and action.
Yes.
And then your dreams can come true. It sounds very easy, but it takes dedication. It takes perseverance, right? Discipline.
Absolutely. You can persevere like Winston Churchill. And Bob always said, I can still hear him. And he goes, when Winston Churchill said, never, never, never give up. And what did Napoleon Hill state? He said, a winner never quits and a quitter never wins.
Never wins.
Yeah.
So beautifully said. And if these are the things we can be taught from when we're little, could you imagine how our life would be as we get older? We're not taught these beautiful secrets. Truly not taught of these. We're taught how to look outside of us to get what we want. And if outside of us seems like it's impossible, then we think we can't do it. And so this is all about connecting with our own thoughts, our own feelings, and making our own action and doing our own actions, right?
Absolutely.
So beautifully done.
Now, going back to the topic of energy again, energy, I think it was Newton's law when he said energy cannot be created or destroyed,
Yes.
but it can be transformed. Now,
Right.
we are living transformers. We can transform any idea into another. Now, when we talk about transition, we can also transition our life experiences from one state to another. And when we transition internally, we will end up transitioning externally in real life. See,
All right. Yeah. So say that a little bit more in the content of an experience.
many times you heard the saying that says, as within, so without.
Mm-hmm.
When we change the state of being that we're in, we trigger and fire up emotions to create a new cellular recognition within us. We have many neural pathways in our brain, for example. It's wired in a certain circuitry, which, if you'd like to compare it to a sledge going down a snowy mountain hill, it creates grooves over time and it becomes solidified as habits. So it can only make me end up in one location downhill. Now, that is the consequence of maintaining myself on that groove itself. I wouldn't want. It's difficult to steer because the sledge is deeply into that groove, but that doesn't mean that you cannot steer it bit by bit. You know, you start to deviate from the old groove because your aim has changed now. Your destination of where you want to be has changed. So as you keep making the effort on a daily basis, you'd find that you've gone down a different path, which the consequences of that path is different. Now, the term consequence does not mean something bad. It just means the end result of something. And this is where our aim should be. We should be looking at our life from the result that we want to be in.
Yes.
But by being internally in the present moment, living life from there, from the goal. You do not look at it as a separation and distance, but you unify yourself through embrace and look at everything else as it has been achieved already. And this helps you to collapse time and space, because thoughts are in the ether. It's not ruled by time, right? Fred Alan Wolf, in his award-winning book titled Taking the Quantum Leap, he described it as the explosive jump that a particle of matter undergoes in moving from one place to another. In a figurative sense, taking the quantum leap means taking a risk, going off into an uncharted territory with no guide to follow. You don't know the quantum mechanisms of what takes place beyond the sights that you can see. But as long as you hold on to the vision, believe, expect, take action, change the inner narrative, and all these conditions, events, and circumstances will start to show up in your life. As Neville stated it beautifully. He said, believe. He said, when your belief matches with any state, you fuse with it. You fuse with that idea. And then he said, this union, because now you're in a state of embrace. He said, this union results in the activation and projection of the plots, plans, conditions, and circumstances. That new state of conscious awareness, because it's all in your consciousness. He said, that new state of conscious awareness becomes your home from which you view the world. And Bob sometimes used to say, you may be the only one living there, but it's all in your imagination. It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks.
That's right. And you know, it doesn't negate that you may, feel scared, and have some fears, but that's testing your faith. That's testing how much you really want it. So you are going to go through this this change process. That fear is part of the game, but it's up to you to play the game correctly and let faith be stronger than your fear.
Absolutely. And he said that new state of conscious awareness becomes your home from which you view the world. Why? Because nobody can live the reality or observe your reality except you. You live most of your time with yourself. And he said, and if you're observant, you're going to see outer reality shaping itself upon the model of your imagination. James Allen, he wrote a book in 1903 called As a Man Thinketh. Now, this was one of Bob's favorite books as well.
Yes.
And James Allen stated, he said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Because whatever you desire so deeply and you see yourself in possession of it, you automatically start to be the person who's taking ownership of it.
Yeah, like getting a Corvette, like getting, that car that you want, right? You start like imagining you're sitting in it, you're feeling it, you're getting excited, and next thing you know, that car is in your driveway. However it got there because you didn't have to, you didn't have to really think hard. Things came to you to make that happen because your state of mind is expecting it. That
Yes.
desire is so strong that you have that vision and you hold steady on that vision. I mean, that's exactly what you're saying.
And most people, they stay quiet. They may not talk at times, but then when something moves in front of them, they go, "Oh my gosh, I was thinking about this for a few days now." Well, guess what? It is true. It comes because you're desiring. When you desire something, it has to show up. There's a cause. The cause is internal. The effect is external. The
Yes.
conscious mind is the masculine. The subconscious is feminine. When you work with the cause, the effect must take place. Ralph Waldo Emerson said it. He said, "The law of cause and effect is the law of laws." Now, regarding this, James Allen had a poem, and as you said, with your mind, he said, "Mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought, and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass, because you're the observer. Based on what you desire in your heart, you'll get to see it. Based on what you hold in vision, it moves from vision to sight."
And so just to create the full picture, your desire, we all have great desires, but if you're also holding on to the picture of what you don't want in your life, that will appear as well. So that's why, as we learned in this work of personal development, we have to be like the bodyguard of our mind and our thoughts.
Yes.
Because when you do receive these thoughts of things that you don't want, you have the choice. I forget how many seconds it is, but there was a little formula that Bob used to say. I think, 20 seconds, 6 seconds, that you can say delete, erase, so that thought doesn't go any further than that time, so it doesn't go into your mind to start creating another thought after that, because it multiplies, right? So
Absolutely.
it works both side. Law of polarity, where you have the negative, you have the positive. So it's really up to us to make that conscious decision and to have the intention, right? Having that strong intention to say, that's not what I want, or that is what I want, and I'm going to go after that. But whichever one you're feeding, whatever thoughts you're feeding the most, gets to be the one that you are going to experience, right?
Absolutely. Because your conscious mind, you have the ability to accept and reject. Your
Yes.
subconscious mind cannot reject anything. It will accept anything. So what your point is right on, because whatever you don't reject, you're accepting. Let me repeat
I
that
love
again.
that. Oh, I didn't even think of it that way, but you're right. Whatever you don't reject,
You're accepting it. Subconsciously, it will sink in because it will eventually trigger your emotions, and therefore it will create you conditions that you never wanted in the first place. But you didn't consciously reject the idea.
I need to replay this and listen to this over and over again to make sure it really sticks in my head. But that is so correct. Whatever we don't reject, we accept.
Absolutely. And
Love it.
you see, when it comes to things moving and changing, you start to have these conditions and circumstances. This is a process that it doesn't stop for anybody.
No, we have how many 60,000 thoughts a day.
Yes.
You need to absolutely take conscious effort. It takes conscious effort
Yes.
to reject what thoughts come in your mind that doesn't serve you, doesn't make you feel happy, puts you in a state of sadness or fear or worry or doubt or stress. Like so beautifully said.
As Napoleon Hill said, he said, change is inevitable. He said, but personal growth is a choice. Now, it is a choice that you have to make, and you have to start getting into the habit of accepting or rejecting. Like if you don't maintain a watch, so a lot of people talk about it's difficult to catch all of the thoughts in my mind. Well, if you check with yourself every hour just to see how you're feeling, it can indicate something for you. Because the primary thing that takes place is your thoughts that floats in your mind. The second thing is it triggers certain emotions. And if you're not feeling that positively charged at that time, then you got to question what have you been thinking, let's say, in the past hour, and just do a mental adjustment to come back on track again. Now, it may take some time for a new person to get used to this, but it can help you tremendously over a period of time, as long as you maintain consistency, because small, consistent effort over time will produce huge results.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's about change, right? It's about, creating that discipline so the change can occur, right? You're making a decision, you're persistent in that, change that you want, and you have to break those old habits, right? So
Yes.
doing things like affirmations, meditating in the morning, writing journal, gratitude journal, um, writing what it is that you want. Not many people take the time to write down what is it that they really want in this life. And it's not enough to say, oh, I just want $1 billion. It doesn't work like that, right? The universe wants to know, what are you going to do with that $1 billion? Why do you want it? How's it going to make you feel? When you start answering all those questions, it takes another different level of understanding. Because at the end of the day, that money is meant for you to enjoy and for others to enjoy as well. But it's not the money that we want. It's the feeling that the money allows us to have by getting nicer things or going on vacation and having the freedom to say yes or no. But it's also, who are you becoming, right?
Yes.
What does Sandra say? It's not, we're scared of not who we are, but who we are becoming when we're changing.
She, Sandy Gallagher said, she said it's not who we are that holds us back. It's who we
Right.
think we're not. Now, Bob always recommended a book called Art of Acting by Stella Adlers. And he says, act like the person you want to become. And he said, okay, if you want to, for example, be a comedian, you got to behave like a comedian. If you want to, for example, be a race car driver, you got to surround yourself within that community and start behaving like them. So there is nothing in your way that can stop you from becoming the person you want to be. But taking action in the steps based on the goal, the desires that you have is crucial, because it changes your state of being that you're in. And as your state of being changes, the conditioning will be altered and your conditions will be altered externally. The problem is when people start to go on the path of change and they land to a certain level of success, everything just stays through like a standstill. And he had a saying that he would always say, results should always be under construction. He always said,
Absolutely.
if you're not growing, then you're disintegrating.
Absolutely. So, it's funny because a lot of what you said is part of my 7 steps to sparking change in you, right? The book that I wrote, The Power of the Rainbow. And, first step is reconnect to your authentic self. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to say, what do I really want? And sit down and write what you really want. So, and I just want to back up the word rainbow. Each letter represents a step that you're taking. So R is reconnecting with your authentic self. A is for awareness, having the aware of what are you saying to yourself? Being aware, what are you saying to yourself? Are you in alignment with your thoughts, feelings, and actions is crucial, right? In the change. I is for using your imagination. The power of your imagination is so much more than we believe that it can actually shape our life, because everything starts in the imagination, right? First, somebody had to imagine the item that they wanted to create and then go after it. And then we see it in reality. And it's for nurturing. You have to nurture yourself. You have to say that you're worthy to receive whatever it is that you want and give yourself unconditional love. B is for beliefs. You mentioned it before. It's believing that you can have whatever it is that you want. You must believe it at the core of your being. O is for being optimistic, having an attitude of gratitude for whatever it is that you already have. And you have to assume you already have whatever it is that you want, being that's in that state of gratitude. Because once you're there, then you win. The W is for wins. You win and making that change and receiving that what it is that you want. And that those steps are so important to follow so that you can manifest whatever it is that your desires that you want.
Absolutely. And for those that have managed to accomplish one thing, and if they have not seen any change, it's because they keep relying on the methods that have got them there. It is a great idea
Yes.
to ignore conventional ways and try something new.
I always say the coin has 2 sides to it. What side are you on? Is it on the side that makes you feel good? Let's call that heads. Or are you on the tail side that doesn't make you feel good? You can flip that coin at any time in your life to say, I'm on the wrong side of the coin. I want to start being on the head side, right? Regardless of what's around the coin, you can flip it. But it takes commitment to yourself, not to anybody else. It takes commitment to go through the change. And you did that, Ahmed. You went through your transformation. You stepped into the unknown by coming on my show. You took the risk of saying, you know what, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm doing it with someone who's going to, push me through. And all you needed is 1 or 2 shows for yourself to feel comfortable, right?
Yes.
And I believe after you went on my show, I believe you had an opportunity to go on somebody else's show, if I remember correctly, that you did that presentation. I don't know. I know. What's his name? Invited you on his show.
Yeah, Brother Jerome.
Correct.
Yes.
So, and I'm just even want to rewind it a little bit more, and we're going to talk about your big surprise here. But you did something where this person recognized you and called you for the show. You were
Yes.
at a presentation, you were at a meeting, you got up, you were teaching, just giving your thoughts on your wisdom and the information you learned. And here's a big opportunity that you received. So we ready? We ready to share?
Go ahead.
All right,
By all
everybody.
means.
Where's the drum roll? Here we go. We're going to show you where Ahmed is on his way to his next chapter, rising to his next chapter. This one.
You feel it, don't you? The people's will gradually losing its grip. The wars, the pandemic, the economic collapse, it's all orchestrated. Inside jobs. It's not about power. They already have it. It's about control. They want us broke, obedient, and defeated.
That's just the tip of the iceberg, unfortunately.
What are you saying?
This war has been going on for centuries. The motive is much greater than what meets the eye. Money and power are just tools, distractions. The true war is about belief. Strip a man of his faith and you leave him hollow, ready to accept whatever poison they feed him. That's how they win. They don't just want our bodies, they want our souls.
How did they find us?
We never left their sight.
Double 8, you have a message from 8.
Decrypt message.
Decrypting message.
Hassan, it's confirmed. The suspect is in the Aokigahara forest. Our flight to Tokyo is booked at 200 hours. I'll meet you at the lobby in 5. Double 8. As always, never late.
Ikuka?
Bye.
That was so awesome. That was so awesome. How did you feel doing that?
Well,
What was running through your mind when you were actually doing this acting?
oh, let me put it in a way. I've never done acting before. This was my very first time. I ventured in it. I decided to have fun. I wanted to have more. I told myself, I need just go have more fun in your life. So I expected it to be easy. It was a lot of work. I focused on ends rather than the means or talents and ability. You know, Steve Bose said it best. He said, God's gift to us is more talent and ability as we'll ever hope to use in our lifetime. Our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime. So I kept on holding that in my mind. And I remember Bob always saying, he said, why do you think an Academy Award winner, for example, that people get so in tune at times with the way an actor is acting is because they're not acting at all. They've become the character or the persona that's required for that movie. So for the entire time of the shooting, I just started to change how I personally viewed my life and everything, and got into the character, whether I was on set or waiting for another shooting day. As long as it takes a bit of time, but if you're being the person,
Right. If you
those
feel it, right.
feel it. And I told the director, there were many times that when he used to say, okay, let's repeat the scene again, let's repeat. There were times that I said, no, let's repeat again. It's because I wanted to put feelings into the process. If I'm not
Yes.
feeling it, it's not the same.
So you had to become that character. You had to feel yourself being that character in order to really, create this beautiful. And it's funny because I felt it too. I felt watching you as if you were very serious about that, that situation.
Yes.
Right. And I think and I'll be honest with you, that's how when I see the Emmy Awards and they pick somebody to give them the award, they said you became that person.
Yes.
Right. And the audience feels what you were feeling.
Because the energy level gets recorded in the picture, in the moving picture, which we call a movie, right?
Yeah.
So people are seeing the screen, characters moving, but there is an energetic signature that gets recorded along with it based on the emotions that are being emitted at that time. So it definitely increases the receptivity
And
of
it's
whoever.
yes, and I'll just make a connection to when we're watching a movie or a scene where it's sad and we cry.
Yes.
Take the movie The Beaches, like I cried, or the movie Ghost. I cried, like I was feeling what she was feeling when Patrick Swayze died in the movie Ghost. Like
Yes.
I felt that. So, same scenario here, like you're saying. You
Yes.
got to be that character. And regardless of the fact, and this is what's amazing, you mentioned, I've never done acting before.
No.
And I don't know about my audience, but I'm going to tell you from my perspective, it looked like you were pro. So congratulations, you won the Emmy Award from me, that's for sure. But that's beautiful, and this is Ahmed's transition. This is the next chapter of his life that he's entering into, the space of movie and acting. And again, from my heart to yours, congratulations, you deserve it.
Thank
And
you.
we're
And
very proud of you. Very proud of you.
And I'm very proud of you. You also have something coming up.
Wow. All right. So let's share. So again, this will be a happy ending to Sparking Change for Harmonious Living on Friday nights. And we're going to have a new show, and that is now dedicated to women. and it's going to be called Why Women Rise. And it will be at the same time. Friday, it will be our first show at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's about, RISE has a special meaning to me because I created Bounce Back for Life and Rise Facebook group initially a while back. And then I just let it go. It wasn't the right time. And here it is. Now it's the right time. So RISE stands for Real Inspirational Stories for Encouragement. These are real people sharing their real stories to really help empower other women to rise up, because we're here to, and it's just not for women, but this show will be dedicated for women only. And it to really help us create better lives, not only for ourselves, but for our family and our friends. And through stories, I truly believe this is how we learn and grow. So on the first show, we do have a special guest who's going to join me, and she has a special message for the audience.
Hello there, I'm Dr. Peggy McCall, a New York Times bestselling author, and I am delighted to be part of the Why Women Rise. What I'm going to be covering off during my little segment is, why is it that some people succeed while most struggle? And what does it really take to manifest your dreams, no matter how big they may be? You see, the truth is we all have the power to manifest anything that we desire. And it doesn't matter what your experience is, what your age, what your ethnicity is, your background, your religion. It just doesn't matter. What matters is, do you have the desire? Do you have a desire to create something or to do something or to have something or experience something that you've never accomplished before? Well, if so, what I'm going to be doing is covering off how you can easily make that happen. And yes, I absolutely use the word easily in there. Now, it may not appear to be easy, or you may not even know the way to get to where you want to go, but I can certainly help you. There's a term called compressed time. And what compressed time means is that you take an enormous amount of time and you compress it down to a relatively small amount of time. You see, why I mention that is because I have been personally studying personal development since January 1979. Well, that's almost a half a century. And I'm not saying that to brag. Why I'm sharing that with you is because I have learned a lot. I've learned a lot about the power of the human being, the potentiality, how to manifest things like that, how to manifest things that seem absolutely impossible, or there's no way or no idea how it's going to be accomplished, but you set the goal anyway, and you simply go for it. And I have discovered that it works. It works. It works magnificently, and it works perfectly when you know how. So that's what I'm going to be covering off. Why women rise, why anyone rises, never mind women, why anyone rises. It all starts with desire. So if you have a desire for better results in your life, in any area of your life, then make sure that you tune in, because I know you'll be very glad that you did. And I look forward to seeing you there.
She's amazing.
Oh my God. I felt her, I met her through Bob Proctor, and I remember writing, one of the classes she did was writing your life script. And she gave just, step by step on how to do it. And I will tell you, this is the reason why I'm here. One of the reasons why I'm here is because I took action on writing my life script, regardless of what was happening in my life. So I am so honored and blessed to have her, be the first on the show to really help people, think outside the box and know that they can have whatever they want. So I'm super excited on Friday to do this show with her, because it's another voice of wisdom that is entered into my space to bring to the world how we can all really have whatever it is we desire. So I'm truly, truly honored and blessed. I'm truly honored and blessed to have you as my co-host, my forever friend. And, you're not going to be a stranger to the show, because obviously now you're going to step away from Sparking Change for Harmonious Living. And we're definitely going to have you on this show, Sparking Change with Gigi, in the future, because we want to hear about all the great things you're doing and how you're getting there, because it's through others that we learn to grow. And so we're looking forward to your growth. U2 Square is that book that you love, and you have definitely had a quantum leap in your life. And so I want to congratulate you from the bottom of my heart for all that you've done, your service, and what you bring, and the gifts you bring to this world.
You have served me and society in a way that you cannot even imagine. I'm extremely grateful to you in ways that I am finding even difficulty to express.
So before I go into tears, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're coming to a close. Final thoughts, Ahmed.
Yes, definitely. As Bob always mentions, Shakespeare stated, he said, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. You're living your movie that is called life. You're the observer. And Bob always said, he said, you're never meant to be an extra in your own movie. He said, you're the Academy Award winner of your movie. And you, dear Sister Giovanna, are that Academy Award winner for all of us tonight.
We're back at you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thank you. Until next time, this is your host, Giovanna Tartarone, and this is Sparking Change with Gigi.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change with Gigi. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchangenow.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Sparking Change with Gigi.